Sometimes British justice is really surprising and impressive. There's an article in today's Guardian headlined UK judge orders right-wing extremist to read classic literature or face prison. And I think this is really good. And I'll just read a bit here and then I want to illustrate why I think this is such a good idea. The picture here of Ben John, former Leicester student who downloaded white supremacist documents, given suspended jail sentence. And then the article continues. A former student who downloaded almost 70,000 white supremacist documents, that's a hell of a lot of documents, by the way, and bomb-making instructions, has avoided a prison sentence by the skin of his teeth after being told to read classic literature by Dickens, Austen, Shakespeare and Hardy. Ben John, 21, from Lincolnshire, from Lincoln, a former student at De Montfort University in Leicester, has to return to court every 4 months to be tested on his reading, Judge Timothy Spencer QC said. He's also been sentenced to a further 2 years suspended imprisonment plus 2 years on licence. John was identified as a terror risk days after his 18th birthday and was referred to the Prevent programme, but continued to download repellent right-wing documents. He also wrote a letter raging against gay people, immigrants and liberals. And then carrying on a bit here, the judge told him, "You are a lonely individual with few, if any, true friends." He said John was highly susceptible to recruitment by others, but he was not of the view that harm was likely to have been caused, after making John promise not to read any more right-wing material. The judge continued, "Have you read Dickens, Austen? Start with Pride and Prejudice and Dickens's Tale of Two Cities, Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Think about Hardy, think about Trollope. On the 4th of January, you will tell me what you have read, and I will test you on it. I will test you, and if I think you are lying to me, you will suffer." Wow. And that's now. I was scratching my head. Why is the judge doing this? What is the purpose and point of this order to read classic literature? And it soon dawned on me. I want to give you some examples of why I think we're dealing here, it would seem, with a fairly immature teenager, someone who is vulnerable to simplistic extreme ideas through this white supremacist literature he's been reading. But why? What will Shakespeare, for example, do? How will that change anything? I would think it can make a big difference. For example, if he was to read one of my favourite plays, The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, he will come across a beautiful... I'm not going to explain the plot. You can Google it or, look at it for yourself. But there's a beautiful passage there where Shakespeare, perhaps unwittingly, gives an Islamic understanding of God and his attributes. I kid you not. If you look at The Merchant of Venice, Act 4, Scene 1, it talks about the mercy of God in a way that could have been written by a Muslim poet. And I'll just read to you. So the point is that this young man, hopefully, will read this stuff and it will introduce into him an elevated, beautiful understanding of the transcendent of God, and also the complexity of human motivation and relationships, tragedy and drama, marriage and love and so on. And it will just mature him and help him to have a better understanding of the human condition. Who knows, it might even work. But the quality of mercy is the first line in Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. And who knows, our white supremacist bomber may even read this. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes a throned monarch better than his crown. His sceptre shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above his sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute of God himself. And earthly power doth then show likest gods when mercy seasons justice. When mercy seasons justice. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. I have spoken thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea, which if thou follow, this strict court of Venice must needs give sentence against the merchant there. Wow. So here's an extraordinary piece of a speech in the Merchant of Venice about the mercy of God and how it's even greater than the justice of God. We do pray for mercy. And this is the kind of thing this young lad needs to hear, compassion, mercy, as well as justice. And of course, it reminds Muslims of hadith on mercy. For example, in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, the Messenger of God, upon whom be peace, said, when Allah decreed the creation, he wrote in his book with him on his throne, my mercy prevails over my wrath. Sahih Bukhari 3022. Very much in the spirit there of Shakespeare's understanding of the mercy of God. So hopefully he will read that. And one last example, because I just love Shakespeare, from Hamlet, that very famous play, Hamlet by Shakespeare. Just a single sentence from Hamlet and a single sentence from the Qur'an. Now, he's not been asked to read the Qur'an, but there are jewels in Shakespeare that are so similar to Quranic wisdom. Hamlet, Act 4, Scene 4, says, what is a man if his chief good and market of his time be but to sleep and feed? A beast no more. And in the Qur'an 47:12, the disbelievers may take their fill of pleasure in this world and eat as cattle do, but the fire will be their home. So that's kind of my slightly romantic response to that court judgment. I think it's a creative and imaginative solution rather than simply punishing the lad, who by all accounts is immature, very young and easily led astray. The judge has thought of something, a cultural solution that will hopefully elevate his spirit, his heart and his mind to greater things than hatred of other people. And he'll be tested. The judge says, you're coming back in January, and I can tell if you're lying. So the judge knows his stuff, clearly. And the guy will have to study Shakespeare, which I recommend, and Charles Dickens. He recommended A Tale of Two Cities, which I've also read, very, very good. David Copperfield, big, thick book, also recommend that. Thomas Hardy's novels, a bit more challenging, but they are extraordinary rich understanding of the human condition. Trollope, he mentions another. Jane Austen, one of the great 19th century novelists. Anyway, I could go on, but kudos to the judge. I hope his punishment works, and if it does, he would have literally have saved the soul of a lost man. Till next time.